Yeah, before we get too far into it, though, we have another giveaway.
Yay.
Woohoo. So, we are going to be giving away Dead Rising for Xbox One. Dead Rising 3 for Xbox One.
For Xbox One.
For Xbox One. Get it, sell it, do whatever you want with it. I hear it's a pretty fun game. I mean, I haven't played it myself, but I've seen a lot of fun videos on it. So, yeah, definitely do that. So, speaking of James Franco and Seth Rogen, the trivia question of tonight is, what was the TV show that starred Seth Rogen, James Franco, Jason Segel, amongst other stars? So whoever first to email us at watson@jwattproductions.com, or whoever calls in at 801-254-5855, or if you're not here locally in Utah, you can call 1-888-919-2355. So Arthur, what are we going to talk about today?
Video games.
About video games. Woo!
But more specifically, we're going to talk about one of our callers last month asked us, if we could talk about games that maybe were for people who are getting into games or, aren't hardcore gamers, that sort of thing. I've been thinking about it a lot and kind of the games that I like to show people who aren't big gamers, but I think are really good for anyone. So, I don't know. I mean, how do we want to start this? Do you want me to just throw something out?
I mean, what's your opinion? What are some good games that you think would be, good games to just get people started who want to get interested in video games? Or my thought process when we were thinking about who to bring in or what subject to talk about, I know there's a lot of people who want to introduce their friends or significant others into video games. What do you think are some good games to start with? And save some for me.
Yeah. I'll definitely save some for you. Let's start with this because I think all of these games are excellent games on their own. Like, I don't think that, it's a game that anyone can play, so it's stupid. Like, it's not like that. I mean, I think there are lots of great games that can appeal to different people. I just think there are certain barriers of entry that are difficult for people. Namely, a controller with, someone who doesn't use a controller often, they'll say, I don't, it's got 1,000 buttons and I don't know what to do with it,
Right.
And that's scary to someone. So in some ways, for example, simple console games, PC games, games on the Wii are really great. But what I want to start off with, though, is Lego games.
Lego games. And before you get too far into it, I just want to make sure so everyone knows before we get people calling in, we do have a winner for the Xbox One game for Dead Rising 3. Steven Rodriguez. Steven, you've won. And the answer was Freaks and Geeks. It was a television show that got canceled after one season, sadly. It was a great show. So sorry. So, back to it. Steven, if you could email us again, that would be awesome. Back to you, Lego games.
Cool, yeah. So, Lego games. And for those of you who are unfamiliar, Lego games, they're on any console. They're on PC. So, if you have any console or PC, you'll find Lego games. And what's great is Lego games come in a lot of different, like they have Lego Star Wars, they have Lego Batman, they have Lego Marvel, they have, help me out here, Lego Indiana Jones, Lego Lord of the Rings.
Harry Potter.
Yeah, they've got a lot of stuff out there. So if you're a fan of any of those franchises, first of all, it's just fun. I mean, they kind of take the movies and make them more comedic and lighthearted. And it's just a fun, simple adventure that's just easy to just, have someone sit on the couch and join, and it's very basic. You walk around, you punch and shoot people, and they have some really simple puzzles. And they're just fun. That's what's nice about these games. There's something that you can play with a significant other or a child or a friend. I mean, you don't have to be a kid or something to play these games and enjoy them. I really loved the Lord of the Rings one. I mean, you can walk from the Shire to Mordor as a little Lego Frodo. I mean, how great is that?
Right.
I mean, Lego has made some great games. So that's where I'm going to start off.
Okay, I'm going to start off. If you have a significant other that maybe wants something a little more edgier, I mean, I agree, Lego is awesome, but it is a little safe. Not discrediting them at all, because I've played a lot of great Lego games. I would have to go with Telltale. Telltale, what's awesome about Telltale and being a gateway game is they already have series that you love. So Telltale's created games like Back to the Future, Jurassic Park, Game of Thrones, Walking Dead is their number one biggest one right now. That's what made them really well known. What's great about this game, and me and Arthur argue about it quite a lot, that it's not. He says it's not an RPG. I say it does. It is an RPG.
Sure.
But regardless of what it is, that's not the subject.
Yeah.
The subject of the matter is, it's really easy to play. You have a really in-depth story, and if you have significant others that do like those kind of games, you just get a click and play, and you choose what you want to say, and there's not much hard things to them, and it's very easy to go to, and definitely if they like, and what's great thing is you like the Walking Dead game, well, here's Wolf Among Us, or here's Borderlands, which if you like this Borderlands Telltale game, how about you start trying to play the actual Borderlands game, and then it kind of branches off, and then they can start doing other things.
And what I want to add to that is what I think is great about, especially Telltale's newer games, because, I mean, I don't want to say there have been growing pains, but they've gone from making kind of more simple puzzle-based games to a lot more complex games, like storytelling-wise and emotionally. Like, when you make a choice, it does affect the game.
Right.
And, that's what's so great about it. And not only that, you have 5 episodes of The Walking Dead. Each one's about 2 hours long. I mean, you can play through it in a week or a month, however long you want. But, let's face it, once you get through the first episode, you're dying to know what happens in the next one and how your choices affected it. And what's great is when I get an ending, it's different than when Watson played through it. So, actually, we might have had the same ending. I don't remember. But
I think we did, but you chose differently how it came up to that ending.
Sure.
So, a few people have said a few things. So Chad said Peggle, is that am I saying that right? And Minecraft. Minecraft is definitely a good one.
I think Minecraft is great for kids.
Sure. And I think
it teaches them kind of how to build
not
stuff.
Just for kids. Let's not get, but it is good to start kids on.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not a dumb game because it takes some thought and effort.
Yeah. And then Daniel Forcewood said Civilization. Civilization was actually one of the first games that I got into. So when I was a kid, like Civilization, Roller Coaster Tycoon, those kind of games are what really got me started. Doom. I mean, Doom's a pretty easy game to get into.
Oh, goodness.
And stuff like that. So, I mean...
Donkey Kong.
I mean, Nintendo in general is just a good place to start.
I got a question for you guys.
Go ahead.
And I know you're on a roll here.
No, you're fine.
Okay, so for somebody who just doesn't know, what if you don't have an Xbox or anything? Are there games that you can play on your PC?
You've come to the right place, my friend. Like Steam. That's my answer to that. You go to store.steampowered.com.
Okay.
And basically any PC game not any, but a huge majority of games that have been released on PC will be found there. And it's a very simple way to kind of manage your games and build an incredibly large library of games that you'll never have time to play. That being said, the games that I really love on Steam are indie games. I enjoy shooters like Call of Duty, and that type of thing. I play them a lot. But one game that I really love is Brothers. I've told you a little about Brothers, Watson. But it's just a very simple kind of, 3 to 4 hour long game that you can play in an afternoon if you've got the time. Just a story about two brothers that are on a journey. and you control both of them simultaneously. It sounds complicated, but you just use joysticks to move them, but it's just really emotionally engaging. That's what I like about indie games. They're usually short and sweet, fairly simple, but they've got good stories, and they're usually just more emotionally engaging.
And with your question with, and kind of going with new gamers, Steam's a good place to go to. And that, I mean, it's a little overwhelming at first because you get a ton of games. But, if you want to go to PC and make things happen, Steam's the place to go. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back, and we'll see you on the other side.
Yeah. Fringe Radio and Game.
Hello, and thank you for calling the Game and Movie Empire Show, brought to you by the Fringe Radio. I am Arthur. I'm here with Watson.
Hey.
And today we're talking about gateway games, games that can help you get more into gaming, and maybe that you can share with your significant other, or maybe for kids, or just a way to get people into gaming that's less intimidating, but still kind of fun. But we have a caller.
Yeah, we got Ryan who called in during the break. Want to pick him up?
Let's do it.
All right.
Hey, Ryan, how you doing?
Oh, hey.
Hey, what's up?
How you guys doing? I was going to call in about the Gamergate stuff, but then you were on a more happy subject, and I know we kind of left that topic behind about an hour and a half ago.
That's all right if you still want to.
Yeah, I mean, we're here.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I just felt like we kind of touched on where it started, but I don't think we really touched on just where that went, because what was talked about was pretty much the first week of Gamergate, which was back in August.
Sure.
When that message first posted, and it's actually still going, and it blew way out of proportion from
Definitely.
that. And Pete, I believe he was, he wasn't off on where it started. It basically started as a troll campaign from 4chan.
Yeah.
When it first started, and I was on 4chan when that started. And they can be pretty horrible. They're often misogynist, racist, and I've been there for a while. I mean, I'm a minority. I've been playing online for a while. I just got used to that. That's really died down online. I think they are pretty much all just left from 4chan.
Gotcha.
But from there, hold on, I made an outline. So it was mostly misogynist, uninformed, and it was actually being driven by a similar thing going on. Like, there was a previous game before that called Gone Home.
Yes, I've heard.
What had happened. Yeah, and there was actually a similar amount of disconcertion about that game, because a lot of journal sites started giving, like, Kotaku and Polygon and such were going about saying it was Game of the Year and it was the greatest game ever. And it was for an indie game that was also particularly short. It was $20. A lot of people picked it up and wondering why just getting all these accolades, and for what? So it became very political. There was already a political climate going on regarding these journalist sites. And one of the accusations made in that blog post by Quinn's ex-boyfriend was that she'd basically traded reviews and positive previews for a game for favors of sexual favors.
Mm-hmm.
And a very horrible accusation, but they kind of jumped on that. What happened after that, it kind of spiraled out of control. They started pulling, other people kind of got pulled into it. For instance, I don't remember how it started, but I don't know if you know the commentator, Total Biscuit. It was so highly, but it had a couple of names. Very large following, very large fan base. And basically, I don't know if you've heard the term SJW, social justice warrior. It's kind of term we give to the Twitter end of things, or the ones who usually bring up the social commentary stuff about sexism in games and so on. Sort of a driving force behind a lot of this. But they're usually more vocal. They're usually the ones who get things like, I think, BioShock, Elizabeth's original design, had a lot of bus showing, and they made a complaint about that, and they actually redesigned her a bit by the time the game was released. They made a lot of complaints about Dragon's Dogma.
Right.
I think you guys are actually talking about it, but I kind of got off.
We mentioned it.
Sure. So, Ryan, a question for you. So you've mentioned a lot of things that we've talked about, but what are your thoughts about it?
I mostly wanted to give you, did you get to the part where the boycotting started? They kind of got most of the advertisers advertising pulled from, I think it was Polygon. I believe their losses were somewhere in 7 figures. They recently had an entire shakeover of their executive branch there.
Right, we sadly didn't get to a lot of it like we wanted to. We only got 2 hours with Peter, but we definitely want to bring him back and delve into it more. Because you're right. I mean, it got into a lot more stuff happened.
Yeah,
so
we were more focusing on kind of how Peter was involved. We didn't want to go too far into it, but it is a huge issue. But yeah, did you have something else?
Well, no, that was about it. And I guess on the topic at hand of Portal, with games that people get into, I wanted to mention Portal and Portal 2. I mean, I'm actually not one of the better gamers out there. I really suck at them horribly. Even though I played them a lot, and I thought the Portal series is something that's pretty lighthearted. It has a sort of a puzzle, has that puzzling, challenging element to that people could really get into.
Well, I will tell you that Portal is a game that I've introduced to people that had never played a first-person shooter-type game. It's not a shooter, but it is first-person, and everyone I've shown it to has loved it. So that's a great example.
Yeah, great example, man. Any other thoughts about that?
No, that's about all.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much
for calling in, Ryan.
Definitely. Ryan, don't be afraid to call in any other time. Good to hear your thoughts.
Yeah,
and
great opinions.
And maybe we can spend more time on Gamergate another time.
For sure, man.
Learn
Thank
more
you so
about
much for bringing in that info, though, to us and making sure our viewers understood.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. Have a happy New Year, Ryan.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye. He knows his stuff, man.
Yeah, I know. It seems like he's. Thank you for paying attention and getting.
Yeah, unlike us.
So a couple people have been jumping on the chats and talking about things. So Ryan mentioned Spore. I personally haven't played it, but that's something maybe you viewers can look into.
It looks really cool, where you design your own creature.
Oh wait, so I've heard about it.
And then it turns into a civilization.
And then it walks and it moves.
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah, and it looks really cool. But I mean, if that's a great game for people who are new to games, then that'd be great.
Yeah. So someone, Danielle mentioned Gamer's Mod, Gary's Mod. Garen, what did I say?
Gamer.
Gamer. There's too many gamers here. Gary's Mod, which is definitely a fun one. And then PC is my favorite platform, followed by Wii U, 3DS. He kind of just went more into there.
Well, but Daniel mentioned some of these games specifically for children, and I believe he's referring to Pajama Sam and that type of thing.
I love Pajama Sam.
I never played that as a kid, but from what I understand, they are very good children's games.
Now I had a question actually when I was talking to one of our listeners in person about 2 weeks ago, because they were asking about what we're doing here on the weekends on the last weekend of the month. And Joe brought up to me and said, he'd like to get him and his son into gaming, doesn't know the first thing about it, but went to Comic-Con and saw, PC laptops had these liquid-cooled machines and stuff like that. Do you need, and the question for Joe is, do you need something like that, or will a decent desktop or laptop work for you?
I'll say 2 words, but then I want to pass it to you because I feel like you know a lot more about it. I don't feel like you need an expensive machine to get into games. You can start off simple by your phone, or you can start as simple as a laptop. Go ahead, Arthur.
Or a tablet, for that matter.
Okay.
But any basic game console is going to get you the games you want to play. But like PC, I helped my younger brother build. He did most of the research. I'll give him the credit for it. But he built a machine for about, I think, $500 or $600. That was a pretty decent machine. So you can spend as much or as little as you want.
Okay.
I mean,
because it is intimidating when you go to Comic-Con. I mean, it's cool, but you see all these. Matter of fact, when I was talking to one of the guys from where they had the game station set up, he's like, "Yeah, we got 810K in these machines." Well, and I can believe that. But for the new guy wanting to get into it, that's the problem I think with so many of these hobbies. People just get blown out of the water with the price tag. But from what you're saying, you don't need to have liquid cooled, nitrogen cooled, flash and light processor.
It'll depend on what you want to do with it. I mean, if you want to run some pretty hard software, I mean, that might be good in some cases. But Arthur helped me build one, and I think it ended up being about 900 or so.
But it started off lower, but
it did. But I mean, I got as crazy as I wanted. But I think that's what turns on a lot of people about consoles. Consoles don't advertise. I mean, they do advertise, but only to hardcore gamers it makes sense. But a lot of people don't know how much gigs are in a PS4 or how many gigs are in an Xbox.
Here's the thing: it doesn't matter how many gigs of RAM you have. You just want to know, hey, can this play Call of Duty, or can this play The Walking Dead, or the Lego game?
I mean, that's to some people. Some people do take. I mean, when the systems first came out, that's the big thing that we talked about. But I mean, I don't think it's important.
No.
It's important if you want to make it important.
It may take a little research, or searching for good prices. I mean, you can build a PC at any price point, and just find the best parts for that amount of money. And like, I don't necessarily want to say you get what you pay for, because there's a point when you pay over $800 for a machine. There's only so much more you can get for your money. Like, right. I mean, do you really need 4 liquid-cooled video cards? Kind of like Pat was saying. I mean,
well, you do.
Well, you do, yeah. I mean, yeah. If you want to spend $4,000 or $5,000 or something, go ahead. If you got the money, go for it.
Right. Well, they had some pretty cool-looking stuff, and like you said, if you're gonna, if you want it up on that big, LED or LCD type. I mean, but that's the hardcore group.
Right. Yeah.
Someone like you said, with a tablet or phone or a basic PC, you can go out and have a heck of a lot of fun and see if you like it.
Awesome. And Chad mentions, I built a PC and planned for 1,000, but ended up with 1,600. So I don't blame you. I mean, that's just what happens. And I mean, like I said, Arthur helped me build mine. I called it a Flux box, and what I had it in mind is Steam is coming out with a controller, and everyone was talking about building their own Steam box, and that's what really got me into it. And so I wanted a really cool small case that still fit in a bunch of stuff, and I got a really awesome case that fills in everything, and it's such a great I mean, PC always has its problems, but I mean I love it. The fact that I can play so many games. Oh man, is awesome. Which actually leads into our next subject here, unless you have other stuff you want to talk about.
I don't know. I mean, if anyone has any questions, by all means, I'd love to answer questions.
Throw them out there on the chat and stuff.
But in the end, I think when it comes to looking for gateway into video gaming, just whatever budget you have, plan for it. If all you can afford is, if you don't have a lot of money, get a console. Maybe get an older console, get a PS3. Yeah. There are tons of games on PS3 and the Wii and
same with your phone.
360.
If you already have a phone.
Yeah, exactly. There's lots of good games out there. You just kind of have to find one that works with what you have. Yeah, don't be intimidated to try new things, but I think we've got a pretty decent starting point.
Yeah. So there you have it. We're getting close to. We're at the last half hour, which is really sad. So, but we still have some giveaways and things to do, and our next subject is going to be games with good replay value. Do you mind, since you started the last one? Do you mind if I?
Oh yeah, you started.
The reason why I brought up this subject was because I recently got Dragon Age Inquisition, and I love it. Don't get me wrong. I love Dragon Age Inquisition. But as I was playing it, since it's developed by BioWare, which made an amazing game called Mass Effect, it made me really miss Mass Effect. So I actually took a break from Dragon Age Inquisition, and I went and got all 3. Well, Arthur let me borrow 2 of the Mass Effects, and then I bought Mass Effect 3, and have been playing all of them. I literally have taken 2 weeks of my life, and I'm already all the way up to the 3rd one. And that kind of what got us started with replay value. What makes a game I think games have better replay values, and obviously this is actually kind of a dumb thing because I made it sound like I'm so smart of coming up with this, but it's actually common sense. But games have a lot more replay value than movies do.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I know. Now that seems really
Now we know.
simple. Right. The more you know. But no, I feel like, I think that, I just think that's something awesome to think about. Because you invest a lot more time in them and things like that. So right now we're talking about games with good replay value. So start commenting or on the chat. What are some good games that you feel have good replay value? Call in on 801-254-5855 or 1-888-919-2355. Also remember during the show that you can get discounts on custom beanies. Go over to etsy.com/shop/mygamertag and enter the coupon GAME1, and that's the number 1. So Arthur, so Mass Effect is one of mine,
Sure.
and that's really because it's just fresh in my mind, and I know I have plenty of other ones. But what about you? What are some replay value of some games that you always seem to go back to, or that you wouldn't mind going back to? Because I know you have a very long list of games to play. So,
but yeah, see, my problem is I've got such a long list of games on Steam. I tell you, Steam is the greatest and worst thing ever because it's like, oh, this game's on sale. I don't have time for it, but I need it, Anyway, but like one game that I always find myself coming back to is Half-Life 2. It's my favorite game, and I feel what's different about it is while it has very scripted moments where things always happen, it gives you the freedom to kind of do them differently each time. I mean, like, it uses physics where, like, this game is, a first-person shooter. It's violent. Like, you'll take an explosive barrel, you'll pick it up with your gravity gun, and you'll shoot it in the direction of the enemies and blow them up. Or you'll take a kitchen sink. Literally, you'll take the kitchen sink and shoot it, at the bad guys, or saw a zombie in half. And there's just something really gratifying about coming into a situation, panicking, and like literally grabbing the first thing you see and hurling it towards the enemy. That's what makes Half-Life 2 so great for me. Just having these unscripted kind of simulated moments with having fun with physics and death, That's what I love about it.
You're right, definitely. And I love the saw blades. That's my favorite. Shooting the saw blades at people. Well, not people, but,
zombies and bad guys.
And bad guys. So some people on the chat have brought up some very good points. Some people, let's see, let's go back up here just a little bit. So Christy brings up Choose Your Path games, and we'll come back to that, Christy, because that's
just kidding, Christy.
All right, you're listening to Game Radio, and
sorry about that. I'm way confused right now.
Oh man! All right,
we're having a good time.
We are having a good time. This is great. We're at the last part of the show. Isn't that sad?
Could shed a
well,
single
boys
tear.
and girls, I think that yes, definitely. So we were getting into where did I get off?
With good replay value.
Oh, and I started looking at the comments, and then I got.
I thought Christy was.
That's right. Christy said that RPGs or something like that. Let me make
Choose your own adventure type.
Choose your own adventure type games, path for games. Here's my thing, Christy. I actually have to disagree with me personally. I'm not saying it's wrong in general. I actually gonna have to disagree. I like playing role-playing games, and then that's my story. Like. Now, I know that's funny to say because I just replayed Mass Effect, but I have to wait a good while before I can go back to them because I feel like the first time I played through it, I played it fresh. I didn't know where things are going to go, and I felt like my choices were true and honest, and I know that sounds like I'm reading into it a little too deep, but that's mostly for games like The Walking Dead, Telltale's Walking Dead, or Wolf Among Us. I'll probably never play those games again, only because I feel like I made my choice. Like, I feel like I don't need to go back and see the other things. I feel like that would spoil my story. Now, I have replayed Fable, and I love Fable, but the problem is I end up just choosing the same story anyway. But I like taking time away. I would love to replay the first Fable if it wasn't $30 on Steam right now. I think it needs to be a little cheaper. But yeah, so I mean, in Skyrim, for some reason, I don't mind because Skyrim is very action-y based, and I feel like it's not really depth in. I mean, it has a really good story. I'm not trying to get rid of the story at all. I just don't feel like I felt like I cared about anyone in particular. Like, I just felt like it was kind of like, you know.
You know, what I love about Skyrim is I've got to stay away from a game like Skyrim because it could just consume my entire life if I let it. But, like, you just start playing it and, like, I role play in my mind. Like, I know this sounds stupid and lame, but whatever. And I just pretend like, oh, I'm lost in a mountainside, and you just wander off and whatnot. Then you find a lone little cottage where this woman teaches you how to shoot a bow, and you're like, well, thanks, lady. And then you, like, keep wandering, and then you get lost in a blizzard, and then you go into this tower, and you're like, oh, thank goodness there's this tower here in the middle of nowhere, you know, because it's cold outside. And then you find out it's full of monsters, and you run out and, you know, run away. Like, just little moments like that in Skyrim where it's like, there's no story there but what you make. That's what I think is so great about it. And lots of RPGs are like that, where it's just like, it's not the story they're telling, it's the story you're making. I think that's so great about, like, nonlinear kind of open world RPG type games.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, I have to take quite a long break before I can play those. So that was my opinion.
My thing is I've got the memory of a goldfish, so like I can watch a horror movie about once a year and forget what happens and that sort of thing.
So Ryan says sandbox games. Now, for those who don't know what sandbox means basically you can create anything, or the game doesn't end, or, I mean, it's a pretty broad.
Lots of interactivity and open-ended.
Open-ended. You don't have to play the story. You can just go do other things. Sandbox games are probably by far my favorite games, following like RPGs and stuff. Grand Theft Auto is my all-time favorite game, and so I agree. Sandbox games are games that I could play over and over again, and I just love, and especially with Rockstar, because Rockstar just keeps putting more and more things into it, and for free, which is awesome. Like, they're giving you new weapons, they're giving you new things, and they're not making you pay for it, which is really pretty awesome. Yeah, this is pretty awesome. So Christy, she also brought up Fable, Fallout, Elder Scrolls. Definitely.
Ryan mentioned our real-time strategy games.
Real-time strategy. Also, and the great thing about real-time strategy is, I think why it's so appealing to replay value is that usually, things don't always happen the same.
Well, I think it's you make different choices.
Yeah, exactly, and I think that's the thing. Well, and I also think depending on the game, you know, the NPCs react differently. I mean, you know, but obviously they're probably more like.
I think they're more reactive. It depends probably on the programmer and stuff. But.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think, let's see, other games that I always fall back on, can you think of any other ones that you always fall back to?
I don't know. I mean, I really like the Call of Duty games. Like, believe it or not, the story in the Call of Duty games.
Which is really weird. Well, it's just funny because no one else is...
Well, let me rephrase that.
No, I'm just kidding.
I'm not saying that the story is amazing, though I do think that, like, Modern Warfare, the first one and second one were really good. But just the experience is really fun. They're just very well crafted. So, like, if you're going to do, like, a linear campaign where you have to do, like, the same thing happens every time, do it well. That's what I think.
Definitely. Some other games that I always tend to go back and play, the Hitman series. I always tend to go back and play those. I love Hitman and stuff like that. I mean, yeah. Oh, Yes, Ryan, Rockstar's awesome, and yes, you are now famous, Ryan. So.
There's a lot of Ryans.
Yeah, we have a Ryan on this chat. We have
two Ryans on this chat.
Oh, we did. Oh,
hey,
okay.
it's Ryan No now.
Oh,
Cool.
So, right on. I'm trying to think of any. I mean, I know Minecraft is really popular, but for me, I can't get into Minecraft. I know it's just not my thing. I always tend to go back to Jedi Academy.
Oh,
I love
man.
Jedi Outcast, Jedi
So good.
Academy. I just love that game, and it's not even like hugely RPG too much. Like you create your own character and then you go and do their missions, and then there's one RPG element like towards the end. But I mean, like.
But
I
it's
don't know, I
fun
love it.
because, like, in a game like that where you've got, like, first of all, they give you a bunch of weapons, and they give you all these different force powers, these different ways to interact with people. So you're like, lightning, or you throw your lightsaber at them. And, like, it's kind of masochistic when you think about it that way. But you have a lot of fun killing people. I mean, but you're a Jedi, and you do it because you have to.
Yeah, make excuses all you want. You just made yourself scary, so.
But, yeah, and there's some weird stuff going on in this chat with Hail Hydra. But
You're
whatever.
supposed to Hail Hydra. That's what you're supposed to do. I think. Well, we have about 10 minutes. Do we want to touch on our last subject?
Sure, yeah.
Go ahead. So let's be clear on a few things. We're going to talk about our favorite games of the year. That doesn't necessarily mean they came out this year.
Yes.
Just know that. What we'll probably do is GameandMovieEmpire.com is our website. Check it out. We'll probably be posting maybe like top 10 games of the year or something, and we definitely want your guys' help on your opinions on what you feel like should be on there. But yeah, we're going to be talking about our favorite games that we've played this year.
Yes. Well, if I'm starting out, I'm definitely going to say Wolfenstein. The new Wolfenstein that came out, I believe, this year.
I loved it. I think it did. I don't know, now that you said it.
I don't know. Maybe it came this year, maybe last year. Regardless, I loved that game. Like,
I need to beat it. I'm so close of beating it.
Without ruining the game, it feels kind of like, I almost want to say it's got a Moonraker vibe. Like, if anyone's seen that James Bond movie, without giving too much away, that probably did give too much away. But like, it's kind of like an alternate 1960s future, kind of like Fallout, and like where the Nazis have taken over, and they've got all these like robot dogs and like big old nasty robots and stuff, and just the atmosphere in that game, it's just like I did not expect it. I mean, honestly, I thought it would be like, hey, kill a bunch of Nazis, they're bad, whatever. Like, but it turned out to be actually kind of
awesome.
Well, yeah,
deep story.
Like, it was really a surprise and just fantastic.
And beautiful.
Yes.
I mean, the moon mission, you were right. I mean, you told me, tell me when you get to the moon mission. You know, when you...
Sorry, that may have been a spoiler alert, but
moon
it's
mission.
probably in, like, the trailer.
It's in the trailer. But no, I'm going to... So, if you don't mind...
Yeah, go for it.
I'm going to have to say South Park, Stick of Truth.
Oh.
That was such a fun game. I mean, it was satirical. It was true to South Park, which was awesome. And because it was a game, they took it farther than they could on TV.
It's true.
Which they
took it very far. Let's just say that. If you get offended, don't play that game.
I won't lie. I wasn't very... Some of those parts weren't very great. Also, and I'm just going to be quick because, that you can have more time, because I know you have more.
Yeah.
Far Cry 4 was probably just... Far Cry 4... I mean, Far Cry 3, loved it. Mwah. Okay? I loved Far Cry 4. Far Cry 3. And then, Far Cry Blood Dragon, which if you've played Far Cry 3 and Far Cry 4,
good.
You need to play Blood Dragon. It's amazing. I just love Far Cry 4 because, I mean, it was such a good story. They added some RPG elements into it where you get to choose who you side with. And it just looked so beautiful on a PS4. And I'm sure it looked great on a PC too. Great gameplay. And I just can't... Like, I feel the urge. Right now I'm just so into the Mass Effects, but I feel the urge, like, to go play Grand Theft Auto 5. Go play this. But yeah, can you think of other ones? Because I could keep going.
Oh, well, like, I played Batman Arkham Origins,
Oh,
and I love
beautiful.
all of those Arkham games.
That came out last year.
I think it suffered by way of comparison to Arkham City because that one was so good, but I really enjoyed it. It was a really cool game. Also, so many indie games. But one I really loved.
I loved, really quick with indie
Yeah.
games, I loved Stanley's Parable. If
Such
you
a
guys
great
have
game.
Steam, look up Stanley's Parable. It's very cheap right now, and it is a brilliant game. The narrator plays with your mind. That's all I'm going to say with that, because I don't want to spoil anything else.
No.
So keep going, and I'm going to start looking over what you guys said, and we'll start saying what you guys think.
See, now I'm having trouble remembering just exactly when I played this game. But one game that I keep thinking about is Mickey's Castle of Illusion. It just feels like
What?
hardcore,
A Mickey
old
Mouse
school
game?
Disney cartoon, but in video game form. Such a great game. And Guacamelee, it's like you're an El Luchador, but in... It's like a Metroid type game, but you're a masked luchador fighter. And it is so funny. The art is just fantastic. Oh, such a great game.
So I have a lot of people saying Far Cry 4, Grand Theft Auto 5, probably the new with the PS4, Minecraft. Someone's looking for the new, or he's excited for the new Order. Thank you, Billy. Really? Oh, it's Billy from New York. He found our
Hey.
he found our stuff. Let's see. Fallout 3. Oh, Fallout 3. Yeah, keep playing. Fallout 3's been great. I got a lot more into it this year than I have before. Call of Duty and Titanfall. I really enjoyed Titanfall. I wish the story was a little more awesome, but
It's still cool.
yeah, for sure. And Courtney brings up a really good point. This is our last show of 2014. It's only our second show,
But
it's
yeah.
and it's your. Well, I guess it's more impactful to you. This is Fringe Radio's last show of 2014.
Yeah, it is. It's been
It's true. I didn't think about
been
that.
a fun year.
It has been. And you know what happens in 2015?
What?
That's when Marty McFly and Doc Brown came from the past
To the future.
To the future. So
What city did they go to?
what? Hill Valley.
Oh, Hill Valley. We need to go to Hill Valley.
It's in Ohio, isn't it?
No, I think there's one in California.
California.
Yeah, but it's not the one that we see in the movie. The movie's it's just a backlog.
You ever think we'll see
so
another sequel to that?
I hope
we'll
not.
probably see a reboot. That's what I think will happen. I'm really excited. For those who aren't from Utah, Christopher Lloyd is coming to our local Comic-Con.
Mm-hmm.
That is my favorite movie, so I am so excited to see
You're saving
him.
your nickels to get us
I am, because they're asking for quite a bit. But I'm going to, I can see over here. But that's going to be a lot of fun. So sadly, we're at the last 2 minutes of the show. So a lot of you have asked us what our favorite games are. We're going to be posting that. Remember, we have our blog and we're going to be updating, or our website. Sorry, we're going to have our website up, GameandMovieEmpire.com. We're going to be doing a lot of those times. Our next show will be January 31st, but just because our show's not till then, we want you to guys to definitely tune in on every Saturday from 6 to 10 Mountain Standard and 8 to midnight Eastern to tune into Pat, because Pat is still here. He has a great program lined up, and we definitely want to support him because he supports us. So please do that. And before we get too much far off on our we have to make sure. So we are going to give away our final prize, which is the Red Box rentals.
Yay.
And we're going to do what we did last time. We're going to do the subscribe to J.A.M.E, our YouTube channel, and check out our videos. Now, I know a few of you have already subscribed. Don't worry about it. Just post on our Facebook that you've already subscribed, or message us on YouTube that you've already subscribed, and we'll be sure to make sure we put you into there. So subscribe, and how you get there is youtube.com/user/JWAP Productions. We're going to put that into the chat, so do that, and you can get entered into the drawing. So
It's going to be cool for the 31st. It's going to be
Yes.
the weekend of Comic-Con.
that's
wrapping up.
right. So we hopefully
it's
will
gonna be a
get
lot
some
of fun.
cool interviews, and we hope to
will.
give away some cool stuff. Thank you very much, Pat, for having us
It's an honor.
on.
Happy New Year to you both.
Happy
New
New
Year
Year.
to all of our
Happy New
listeners.
Year to everyone.
NBC News is up next. Jim Sumner on the other side. We'll see you next week on the 3rd. Take care, God bless, and be safe this week.
We love you guys.
Goodbye.
AirAsia flight lost. Officers in Florida and New York remembered as heroes. I'm Barbara Cusack. An AirAsia flight from Indonesia to Singapore lost. Correspondent Aisha Sese reports Flight 8501 lost communication with Jakarta's air traffic control tower about an hour before it was scheduled to land.
The pilot reportedly requested an unusual route before the plane lost contact. The airline says a crisis center has been set up and search and rescue operations are underway.
A final tribute was paid to NYPD officer Rafael Ramos, who was laid to rest. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo was among the dignitaries at his funeral.
For Officer Rafael Ramos, being a police officer was more than just a job. It has to be. It was a calling.
And it was a heartfelt goodbye from the daughter of Tarpon Springs, Florida officer Charles Conduct, who was fatally shot in the line of duty.
My dad was a phenomenal father, husband, and of course, police officer. My dad died as a hero, but he was my hero before any of yours.
Views are vastly different among blacks and whites when it comes to perceptions of the criminal justice system and the role police play